Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, devotees, Jishal Prabhupada. Thank you to Vishwanath Prabhu, Ramchandra Prabhu, Nakshi Mohini, Ritesh Prabhu for leading the chanting today. Let's continue with our prayer of the week after Mangalacharan. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminati Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatharine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktaranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna. Okay, so we are singing Shri Radha Kripa Kataksh. Continue to sing unless somebody else wants to try today. Okay, let me continue then. मुनीन्द्र वृंद वंदिते त्रिलोक शोक हारिणी प्रसन्न भक्त पंकजे निकुंज भूविलासिनी व्रजेन्द्र भानुनंदिनी व्रजेन्द्र सूनु संगते कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपा कटाक्ष भाजनम् अशोकवृक्षवल्लरी वितानमण्डपस्थिते प्रभालवालपल्लव प्रभारुराङ्घ्रिकोमले वराभयस्फुरत्करे प्रभूतसम्पदालये कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपा कटाक्षभाजनम् अनङ्गरङ्गमङ्गल प्रसङ्गभङ्गुरभ्रुवां सविभ्रमं ससम्भ्रमं दृगन्तबाणपाटने निरन्तरं वशीकृता प्रतीति नन्दनन्दने कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपा कटाक्षभाजनम् तडित्सुवर्णचम्पक प्रदीप्त गौरविग्रहे मुख प्रभा परास्तकोटि शारदेन्दुमण्डले विचित्र चित्र सञ्चरच्चकोरुषावलोचने कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपा कटाक्षभाजनम् मदोन्मदाति यौवने प्रमोदमानमण्डिते प्रियानुरागरञ्जिते कलाविलासपण्डिते अनन्यधन्यकुञ्जराजकामकेलिकोविदे कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपा कटाक्षभाजनम् अशेषहावभावधीरहीरहारभूषिते प्रभूतशातकुम्भकुम्भकुम्भिकुम्भसुस्तनि प्रशस्तमन्दहास्यचूर्णपूर्णसौख्यसागरे कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपा कटाक्षभाजनम् मृणालवालवल्लरी तरङ्गरङ्गदोलते लताग्रलास्य लोलनीललोचनावलोकने ललल्लुलन्मिलन्मनोज्ञमुग्धमोहनाश्रिते कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपा कटाक्षभाजनम् सुवर्णमल्लिकाञ्चितः त्रिरेखकम्बुकण्ठगे त्रिसूत्रमङ्गलीगुण त्रिरत्नदीप्तिदीदिति सलोलनीलकुन्तलप्रसूनगुच्छगुम्फिते कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपा कटाक्षभाजनम् नितम्बबिम्बलम्बमानपुष्पमेखलागुणे प्रशस्तरत्नकिङ्किणी कलापमध्यमञ्जुले करीन्द्रशुण्डदण्डिकावरोह सौभगौरके कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपा कटाक्षभाजनम् अनेकमन्त्रनादमञ्जनोपुरावस्खलत् समाजराजहंसवंशनिक्वनाति गौरवे विलोलहेमवल्लरी विडम्बिचारुचङ्क्रमे कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपा कटाक्षभाजनम् अनन्तकोटिविष्णुलोकनम्रपद्मजार्चिते हिमाद्रिजापुलोमजा विरिञ्चिजावरापरे अपार सिद्धिरिद्धिदिग्धसत्पदाङ्गुलीनखे कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपा कटाक्षभाजनम् मखेश्वरी क्रियेश्वरी स्वदेश्वरी सुरेश्वरी त्रिवेदभारतीश्वरी प्रमाणशासनेश्वरी रमेश्वरी क्षमेश्वरी प्रमोदकाननेश्वरी व्रजेश्वरी व्रजाधिपे श्रीराधिके नमोऽस्तुते इति ममद्भुतं स्तवं निशम्य भानुनन्दिनी करोतु सन्तमं जनं कृपाकटाक्षभाजनं भवेत् तदैव सञ्चिता त्रिरूपकर्मनाशनम् भवेत् तदा व्रजेन्द्रसूनुमण्डलप्रवेशनम् कदा करिष्यसि ह मां कृपाकटाक्षभाजनम् कदा करिष्यसि ह मां कृपाकटाक्षभाजनम् हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री राधा कृपा कटाक्ष की जय श्रीमती राधा रानी की जय श्री व्यासदेव की जय श्री महादेव की जय जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय Okay, we will read the Falashruti, 13th verse of this translation. Anybody would like to read today?
I can read. Oh.
Hare Krishna, yes, Shri Mataji.
Just the 13th, right?
Yes, just the 13th, yeah.
Okay. May Sri Vrishvanu Nandini, upon hearing my astonishing prayer recited, bestow her most merciful sidelong glance upon the speaker. At that time, one will feel all the effects of past, present, and future karma completely destroyed and gain entrance into the assembly of Nanda Nandans, Krishna's eternal loving devotees. That aspiring devotee who chants his prayer on the full moon day, waxing 8th lunar day, 10th lunar day, 11th lunar day, Ekadashi, and 13th lunar day will find that his mind and intelligence become pure. Each and every desire will be fulfilled without fail, and by the most merciful sidelong glance of Sri Radha, one will obtain pure ecstatic love, prema. The aspiring devotee who recites this prayer 100 times while in the waters of Sri Radha Kund up to the thighs, navel, chest, or neck attains complete perfection in religiosity, economic development, fulfillment of desires, and liberation. The power by which everything spoken will come true, and great opulence from attaining transcendental majesty. At that time, one gets to meet Sri Radhika face to face, seeing her even with one's own present eyes, and Sri Radhika becomes so pleased that she instantly bestows the greatest benediction of being able to see her own beloved Shyama Sundara Krishna with one's present eyes. Then Lord Krishna, the Lord of Rajdham, grants one entrance into his eternal ecstatic pastimes, which is the only goal for which true Vaishnavas hanker. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Shri Mataji. It's Thursday, Thanksgiving today. So thank you to all the devotees who have joined in our reading. And I'll continue Shri Prabhupada Lilamrit. So this we started chapter 52 yesterday, which is Prabhupada saying, I have done my part. So on this day of Thanksgiving, we should be grateful, thankful to everything that Shri Prabhupada has given us, without which we would not be here today, this morning, doing our sadhana. So thank you to Shri Prabhupada, and thank you to all our predecessor acharyas, our Guru Varga, and thank you to Srimati Radharani and Shri Krishna that we are all engaged in this pure, loving devotional service, which gives the ultimate bliss, eternal bliss, which is not available anywhere else in this material world. So that is the power of bhakti. Yeah. So like Prabhupada is in Rishikesh yesterday, and actually from Rishikesh he has come to Vrindavan. So we're reading is that famous verses saying Rishikena Rishikesh Sevanam. So with Rishikena, with all our senses, we should absorb and utilize all our senses in the service of Rishikesha, which is Lord Shri Krishna. Then that is Bhakti Ruchyate, that is the topmost service in terms of bhakti that we can do. So engaging all our senses, our body, our mind, and our intelligence. Like we say, Prabhupada has given us this wonderful formula where we can engage our body in the ninefold devotional service by hearing, by chanting, by seeing, by smelling, by reciting, right? everything, so we can engage our whole body in the service of the Lord. Um, and we can use our mind to remember the pastimes of the Lord. We can use our mind to focus on the chanting of the Mahamantra, and we can use our intelligence as we are now going to read. So, Prabhupada has given us this wonderful formula where we can fully engage our full Panchabhut Sharir and the Mana and our intelligence, Buddhi. So, when you do all the seven things, then the eighth thing, which is the false ego, that false ego becomes transformed to true ego, which is our true identity of the spirit soul. So, in these 7 days that we have, 7 days of the week, we have seven sur, right? In Geet. So, like Prabhupada was saying yesterday, that the true medicine for him, for his recovery, even though he went to Rishikesh, he was all okay for 7 days, and then eighth day there was a thunderstorm, and then Prabhupada was saying, okay, this may be the sign that Krishna wants me to finish my stay here, so better I move to Vrindavan. So Prabhupada came to Vrindavan, and he's saying the best medicine is Kirtan. Again, Kirtan, if you think, making it with seven, that's with Satsur. When you make the Kirtan, that is the best, and by reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So those are the medicines that Prabhupada wanted his disciples to uh, give him. So they were constantly reciting they were constantly reciting Srimad Bhagavatam and constantly singing Kirtans, as Prabhupada was in Vrindavan now, in the Krishna Balaram temple. And he was talking to Tamal Krishna Maharaj about creating a will, because he wanted to be prepared for the worst before it comes, not at the last minute. So he wanted his will to be prepared, which would be read by all the GBC men, so that they can continue to take this movement forward during his absence. And he says, your love for me will be shown by how much you cooperate to keep this institution together after I am gone. So that is our goal, all of our goal, that we should cooperate with each other, we should follow Prabhupada's instructions, and we should keep this movement together and make it progress even more. That will give Prabhupada immense happiness and joy. And that is what our goal is, to please the Vaishnavas. When you please the Vaishnavas, then Sri Sri Radha Krishna become pleased. Okay, so let's continue. Srila Prabhupada would usually make comments such as this while lying in the bed. As soon as he would speak, some of the devotees attending him would come close to catch his words, and sometimes the kirtan would stop. The parts of Prabhupada's daily schedule that remained the same as before were his rising in the middle of the night to translate Srimad Bhagavatam, his morning massage and bathing, and his hearing news through his secretary. He had all but stopped his morning car ride, as well as his darshan of the deities. Eating was almost nil. He asked to be moved from his bed downstairs to the one upstairs, and sometimes he would sit at his desk. Tamal Krishna Maharaj read Prabhupada a letter from Giriraj Maharaj, more like a loving prayer than a letter. Giriraj had quoted a verse by Prahlad Maharaj from Srimad Bhagavatam. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires, one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But by but your servant Narad Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? Srila Prabhupada was very affectionate towards Giriraj Maharaj for his faithful, fearless service, and he listened with great appreciation, closing his eyes and drinking in every word of the prayer. That same evening, Srila Prabhupada sat up to receive a member of parliament, Sri Sitaram Singh. Although he was appreciative that a highly placed man was visiting, he spoke on the absolute plane, exposing material illusions. Immediately, he attacked the narrow mindedness of politicians with their party politics. He also exposed the rascaldom of politicians who claim to support non-violence on the basis of the Bhagavad Gita. At times like this, the devotees of Srila Prabhupada would almost forget that he was making preparations for the end of life. Later that night, after Mr. Singh had left, Prabhupada said, I can speak some more, or if Krishna desires, then whatever I have given already, that is all. Srila Prabhupada was unlimitedly willing to speak about Krishna and to help give Krishna consciousness to others. But how much longer he would stay, how much more he would give was up to Krishna. With more time, he would carry on Krishna's will in the material world. But if Krishna's desire was that he should leave, then he would also accept that willingly. Even if he had to soon depart from this world, he could not simply shut off his burning compassion, his preaching spirit. Most of all, he desired that what he had started, a worldwide movement to save suffering souls, should continue. The word was sent to all GBC secretaries worldwide. Srila Prabhupada might depart very soon, and he wanted them to be with him in Vrindavan. As soon as possible, the GBC men left their duties and came to him. The last time most of them had been with him was in February during the annual meeting in Mayapur. Tamal Krishna Maharaj informed them of Srila Prabhupada's recent turns, how he had been preaching in Bombay but not eating, how he had gone to Rishikesh and gotten worse, and how he had come to Vrindavan, sensing that the end was soon. Tamal Krishna Maharaj had explained that Srila Prabhupada had asked that he simply be administered the medicine of the holy name continually, that the GBC and the sannyasis be gathered to chant with him, and that a will be made securing ISKCON properties and ensuring the continuation of the ISKCON institution. Tamal Krishna Maharaj also mentioned that Prabhupada had said that their love for him would be shown by their cooperation in keeping ISKCON together after his departure. Tamal Krishna Goswami confided to his god brothers that his own feelings were mixed. It was a time of sorrow, and yet Srila Prabhupada seemed relieved now that he had decided not to struggle to survive. Tamal Krishna Maharaj said he couldn't but feel happy at Srila Prabhupada's relief from all concerns. Bhavananda Goswami, one of the first GBC men to arrive, told the others how he had said to Prabhupada that on the one hand he felt sad that Prabhupada was departing, but also joyful that he would be able to leave this nasty material world and rejoin Krishna. Prabhupada had approved the sentiment, adding that although his Guru Maharaj had become disgusted at the end of his life due to the misbehavior of his leading disciples, he did not feel that. Rather, he liked the company of his disciples and felt they were doing their best in carrying out his order. But he also warned them not to spoil ISKCON and become another Gaudiya Mutt by splitting up. The ISKCON leaders formed small groups and took turns in being with Prabhupada and chanting and reading to him. He would often be sitting up in bed in his main room downstairs, and the high ceilinged room with its black stone floor would be very dimly lit, though decorated with flowers and framed pictures of ISKCON deities. His room was comfortable despite the oppressive heat because of the air cooler and overhead fans. Sometimes Prabhupada would clap his hands softly to the kirtan, and he was always ready to hear and evaluate reports of his disciples' preaching. The main difference about Prabhupada was his physical appearance. As one GBC man put it, he looked like one of the great ascetics depicted in the Srimad Bhagavatam, grown extremely thin like Dhruva Maharaj or Ranti Dev, who performed great austerities while wrapped in meditation on the absolute truth. Srila Prabhupada would alternately sit up in bed or lie down while hearing Kirtan or Srimad Bhagavatam. Now he was always surrounded by concerned disciples, and he seemed happier. Some of the devotees who had been with him in Vrindavan just before all the GBC secretaries had arrived, they could see that he felt more encouraged. Perhaps by the sincere prayers of all the devotees, a dramatic change might come. Bhavananda Goswami and Jayapataka Swami brought reports from Srila Prabhupada's beloved Mayapur project. Bhavananda said the temple was filled with transcendental activity, and the Gurukul boys would chant Hare Krishna even while sweeping the roads. Work was just beginning on a new residence for Srila Prabhupada. It would be surrounded by fountains, a terrace, and a big pond. It has not yet begun? Srila Prabhupada asked. Jayapataka Swami Maharaj replied that the plans had been drawn and that the architect said it would be no problem. They could build right through the rainy season. How long will it take? Tamal Krishna Maharaj asked on Srila Prabhupada's behalf. 6 months. Srila Prabhupada, said Tamal Krishna Maharaj, I think you are tied to this planet by the love of your devotees. Srila Prabhupada uttered a thoughtful, all right. Although Srila Prabhupada had indicated a will to live by saying, all right, to Bhavananda he said, there is no hope of life. Therefore I have called the GBC. If I can die in Vrindavan, Krishna can accomplish anything, but from the physical condition there is no hope. But Krishna is Parameshwara, Bhavananda said. Prabhupada laughed. That is another thing. If Krishna liked, then he would live. But Prabhupada wanted his disciples to understand the critical state of his health. The brain is working, he said, but the body is not allowing. Don't worry, everyone will die today or tomorrow. I am also an old man. There is nothing to be regretted. It is up to Krishna. Dropping his reassuring stance and pleading as a helpless student, Bhavananda asked, what can we do, Srila Prabhupada? You can pray to Krishna, Prabhupada replied. Krishna is all powerful. And one of the most important things is that when I am gone, don't spoil it. Keep it. Mayapur. Jayapataka Swami gave glowing accounts of his recent preaching to both Hindus and Muslims in Dhaka. There have been no sadhus in Bangladesh for years, said Jayapataka Maharaj, speaking strongly and victoriously. Though sitting like a child at the foot of Srila Prabhupada's bed, people are eager to hear about Krishna consciousness. 10,000 people gathered. It was the biggest function in the history of the colony, either Hindu or Mohammedan. The Mohammedans are also interested. They don't know anything about Lord Chaitanya. Many ask if we have any books on the life of Lord Chaitanya. They like to read. That book, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Srila Prabhupada interjected in a voice, hoarse but full of life and interest. Jayapataka Maharaj said they had prospects of getting a temple there. Many young men are coming and asking very intelligent questions, he said. They ask questions about our deity worship, about Guru, about Harinam. Very intelligent questions. There is no CIA rumor. There is no type of any bad talk about us. No envy at all. And because they are little oppressed, they are always being challenged about believing in Krishna. So that is why they are eager to understand. What about the Mohammedans? Asked Srila Prabhupada. At one place, said Japataka Maharaj, when Prabha Vishnu lectured in Dhaka, a Mohammedan heard and came to him and said, "What you are preaching is very applicable to the modern day. In my district, there is nearly a majority of Hindus, but when they have their sadhus come and preach there, I find it very old fashioned and very unacceptable. But your preaching we find enthusing." So he arranged a program. Ultimately, every Mohammedan that I have met has become interested, just because it was presented in a way that was acceptable to them. They say, "You are Hindu?" We say, "No, we are Vaishnava." Vaishnava means we believe in only one God. There is no one equal to him. So you believe in the same thing. That is a fact, said Prabhupada. Asamarodhva. There cannot be anyone equal to God or greater than him. Many young men, both Hindu and Mohammedan, will join, said Japataka Swami Maharaj. I am sure, but right now we are getting the society registered and getting our place. You did not get that yet? Prabhupada asked. Get the place and get the society registered. Prabhupada added that Jayapataka Maharaj should do everything very seriously. It is increasing, he added approvingly. When Rameshwar Swami came into the room for his kirtan, he brought Srila Prabhupada the newest editions of the Krishna book, trilogies, and reported on how the various books were selling. Keep your health very nice, Srila Prabhupada said. Live as many years as possible. Be Krishna conscious. Then next life you go back to home, permanent life. There is no cheating, no politics, no personal ambition to fulfill. There is not any tinge of any personal salvation. Now, can anyone point out that here is personal sense gratification? Can anyone? Can you say, here is my personal sense gratification? There is no such thing in Krishna consciousness. This is our desire, that we live with devotees and execute the mission of our predecessors. That is our ambition. Without ambition, no one can live. Our real self-interest is to execute Krishna's desire. So do it very carefully. And if 1/4 of the Americans become Vaishnavas, then the whole world will change. In America now, Rameshwar said enthusiastically, the book selling has surpassed last year. We are trying to double. We have not yet doubled, but it has gone beyond last year. It is going to double, said Srila Prabhupada. By your mercy, Rameshwar added. Yes, said Prabhupada. Be doubly blessed. At these words, the devotees laughed happily. Srila Prabhupada then turned to Kirtananda Swami. So, New Vrindavan is developing? Be happy. We can't be happy if you are not there, Kirtananda said. I'm always there, said Prabhupada. When I see that everything is going on nicely, then I'm happy. Even with this body, body is body. We will have next body. Wasn't it Puru who gave his father his youth? Asked Kirtananda. Srila nodded. King Yayati traded his old age. And you can do that, said Kirtananda. No, why? Said Srila Prabhupada. You are my body. Then you can do it. There is no difference. Just like I am working, so my Guru Maharaj is there. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Physically he may not be, but in every action we do. In the Bhagavatam, said Tamal Krishna Maharaj, you say that for whoever follows the Guru lives with him eternally. So I am not going to die, said Prabhupada. Kiti resya sajivati. One who does something substantial, he lives forever. He doesn't die. One has to accept another body according to his karma. But for a devotee, there is no such thing. He always accepts a body for serving Krishna. So there is no problem. Rameshwar Swami informed Prabhupada that the last volume of the 9th canto was at the printer, and the first volume of the 10th canto would follow in 2 weeks. Srila Prabhupada inquired about whether it was more economical to print the Hindi books in India or America, and they discussed. Internationally, all conditioned people are suffering, said Srila Prabhupada, but you devotees are above all dangers. Kirtananda Maharaj knows that very well. He has no danger. Sticking to that new Vrindavan program, there is always improvement. They eat first class, nutritious food. And what is that place in Pennsylvania? It was like old times with Srila Prabhupada hearing reports and correcting and inspiring his leaders to do more and more, assuring them that Krishna would help them. Rameshwar Swami described for Srila Prabhupada's pleasure the great volume of Krishna conscious literature being distributed. At the end of this year, he said, we will have sold at least 65 million books on Krishna. Every year, we are selling at least 15 to 20 million books now. Yes, said Prabhupada. They ask, why are you stressing so much on Krishna? But that is the only message. It will increase more. People will be inquisitive. Srila Prabhupada continued to talk, but with occasional reflections on his present condition. What is the problem? He asked. We are talking about Krishna. So if all of a sudden I collapse, then what is the problem? Krishna tvadiya padapankaja panjarantram. Ordinary dying is kaphavata pitta, choking. But if in the kirtana you die, oh, it is so successful. Not the injection and operation, that atmosphere, but in Krishna Kirtan, that is glorious. Not oxygen, gas, dying, and so much trouble. Chant Hare Krishna, bas, and let me die. Krishna, never be disturbed. Chant Hare Krishna. For chanting, you have got so much material. Now read something from this book. Krishna Tadiya Pada Pankaja. In this Sanskrit phrase, Srila Prabhupada is chanting part of a favorite verse of his from Sri Mukundamala Stotra by Maharaj Kulakshekara. The author is praying to fix his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna and pass away in that condition, rather than dying when the bodily functions are disturbed and the mind may be distracted from Krishna's lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada reached over and opened Srimad Bhagavatam and handed it to Rameshwar, who began to read. One after another, the GBC men arrived. Atreya Rishi brought pomegranates and sweet lemons from Iran, as well as good news of the ISKCON restaurant there. Srila Prabhupada listened with intense interest to Atreya Rishi's report, and then spoke for a while about the Middle East and how to best present Krishna consciousness there. Kirtananda Swami had brought milk products from New Vrindavan, and a sannyasi came from Thailand with fruits and flowers. When Adikeshav Swami came in, Prabhupada beamed. He heard with great pleasure Adikeshav's report of the impact of the New York court decision on Indians around the world. When Sarup Damodar arrived, he showed Prabhupada the manuscripts for 3 pamphlets, proving scientifically and mathematically that Krishna consciousness is the absolute truth. After each report and greeting, Srila Prabhupada would ask that the kirtan be continued, and he would become silent as the devotees sang softly, hour after hour. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. A very small pair of kartals, the only instrument, produced a soft, pleasant ringing. The voices of the chanters were subdued, but their minds were firmly fixed in devotion to Srila Prabhupada and the holy name, concerned that Prabhupada could hear the Mahamantra without interruption. The devotees who were chanting experienced their own realizations while intimately associating with Srila Prabhupada in this way. They could understand this was a most important connection with Srila Prabhupada, to come into his presence and chant Hare Krishna and Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya and read to him from Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada wanted to hear the transcendental sound, yet he was simultaneously teaching his disciples. After his departure, they would retain the deep impression of the significance of the Hare Krishna mantra and Srimad Bhagavatam, and they would go on giving the mercy to others. He was teaching them how to become pure devotees. He was sharing himself with them by having them chant very simply and read his books without speculation, so that later, when preaching Krishna consciousness, they would remember. Srila Prabhupada would always be with them as they went on chanting simply and preaching without speculation. Whether he would depart now or later, he was preparing them. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's pause here. So, lifetime of preparation, as we saw Prabhupada's life right from his young age when he was 6, 7 years old, and we have that wonderful picture of him uh, asking his father that he wants to do his own Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra, and then Gaur Mohan De, Prabhupada's father, brings him that chariot where they do the Rath Yatra. Right from that time onwards, he was very interested. Of course, even as a small kid, he picked Srimad Bhagavatam, and they kept two things in front of him, the Bhagavatam and a gold coin. Prabhupada went towards Bhagavatam, right? So from that time onwards, his life was always in the service of the Lord. And growing up, of course, then he went to college, and then even after college, he always had the desire to go to Jagannath Puri and Vrindavan. Then after he met his Guru Maharaj, of course, his life transformed. He received his instructions from Guru Maharaj, he received his initiation, and then he met him again at Radhakund when Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj asked him to, if you have money, print books, he said, right? And go to West and preach this Krishna consciousness. So, and he was preparing that instruction that he received in his 30s, and then almost 30 plus years he was preparing, and this lifetime of preparation that he had finally in the last like 11, 12 years of his life, the fruit kind of the whole preparation bore fruit in just the last 12 years. So like that, a tree, when it grows, it has to really grow deep with its root before it can have a strong trunk, and then it will finally flower, and then the fruits will come out at the end, right? So like that, Srila Prabhupada's lifetime was of preparation, and now he's teaching the same to his disciples. He is preparing them so that their lifetime could be a lifetime of preparation, and then after Prabhupada departs, they could spread the joy of Krishna consciousness. They can share the fruit of bhakti to the whole of world, which is what we see they have done in the last 50 years after Srila Prabhupada has departed. The movement has grown multifold, multiple times, multifolds, from thousands of disciples. Now we have millions of disciples, and we have from 108 temples that Prabhupada built to more than 1,000 now, with every town and village almost. We have, wherever we go today, we can see, like we say, wherever we go, we find ISKCON temple or ISKCON center. So we can be in the association of devotees, we can have prasadam there. So how much the movement has grown. And that has only happened because of the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, because he has been happy and pleased by the service, sincere service, unconditional, selfless service of his disciples, which has expanded the movement so much. So, but again, all the bhakti, Prabhupada gave a very simple process, right? Just chant, read, and yeah, be happy. Chant and be happy, like Prabhupada always said. So that was the final thing, right? That's what they are doing here. Just chanting Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, and they are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. That's it. And that is all perfection of life. So like that, we also have to keep it simple, not overcomplicate too many things. If we do these things simply, yeah, then everything else will automatically follow. Like Prabhupada says, we don't have to be anxious about management, managing so many things, properties. If we are sincere in following these instructions of chanting and reading nicely, honoring only Krishna Prasadam, like we, of course, in ISKCON temples, we offer so much of prasadam to all the devotees who come. Like Prabhupada said, we should not, and nobody should go hungry. There should be adequate prasadam for everybody, right? So, like my Guru Maharaj would always, funnily, he will joke. He will say, we are the austerity that we need of body, mind, and senses of the body, of the tongue especially, since the tongue is most voracious, and we should only eat Krishna prasadam. Right? We should not hanker for anything outside. And the austerity that we are talking about is, yeah, just honoring Prashad. We're not even talking about austerity like Prahlad Maharaj, like here today when we read Prahlad Maharaj's reference. Giriraj Maharaj wrote this wonderful prayer from Prahlad Maharaj about, how he can serve his Guru Maharaj, because he has to please his Guru Maharaj, because he has given him everything. Narad Muni gave Shri Prahlad Maharaj the initial instructions. So like that, Guru Maharaj would say that Prahlad Maharaj, Guru Maharaj, so much of austerities they did. Guru Maharaj, when he was meditating in the jungle, he would only eat first for 3 days, then only after, and once in 6 days, then only once in 9 days. And then he even stopped eating everything, right? So, and then even what he was eating was just, some dry grass, right? Not even, not even prasad. So Guru Maharaj will say, we are not even asking all of you to do that level of austerity. We are just asking you to eat Krishna prasad, not even, just like dry grass. If we tell you to eat just dry grass, all the devotees will go on dharna. They'll go on strike, right? And then he says, and even the fruits that he was eating were all fruits meant for, like, birds and monkeys, those kind of fruits he was eating. If we give you those kind of fruits in the temple, then you will probably not even come back to the temple. So, so he was just funnily quoting that the austerities that we have to do are so simple, are so easy. Not like, we have to stand on one leg or do austerity of only eating grass, or drinking only water, or just sustaining on air, right? No, but so so yeah, chanting, like I said, um, purifies our mind, purifies our consciousness. Chanting and reading sharpens our intelligence. Like Prabhupada says, when we read, then they will be able to preach Krishna consciousness nicely later. So they would remember. And of course, we use our whole body in seva. So all the three things happen basically. When we use our body for seva, we use our mind for our sadhana, chanting, japa, kirtan, and when we read, then it is swadhyaya, we sharpen our intellect. So all three, with these three things, we can conquer Maya. So yeah, wonderful. Okay, anything else? Anybody else would like to share on this day of Thanksgiving? We are grateful to Srila Prabhupada once again for this simple process of bhakti that he has given, and all the predecessor acharyas have given us. Prahlad Maharaj has given us the Navada bhakti. So we thank them from the core and bottom of our heart for this wonderful bliss of bhakti, joy of Krishna consciousness. And today we will celebrate Thanksgiving at our Cincinnati Center, going back to our center C2 for the first time since February. So almost like Prabhupada's GBC men, they were in February. They had come to Mayapur to meet Srila Prabhupada. All of them were in Mayapur. So we were all in C2 in February. And today in November, on the day of Thanksgiving, we all will be going back to C2. So very wonderful that we are able to follow in the footsteps of disciples of Srila Prabhupada and be with Srila Prabhupada at our Shri Shri Radha Krishna Center on Govardhan Hill in our center too. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Okay, anybody else would like to say anything?
Yes, Prabhu. So recently, in this Pittsburgh congregation, one of the devotee left her body, and she was like constantly, in her last days, she was like hospitalized, and she was like constantly surrounded by devotees. Somebody was helping her with food, and somebody was there, and so with I think Gangajal and Tulsi in her mouth, she passed away, and then people were the devotees had like small kirtan when she was leaving her body and everything. And I was that just hit me, that it's so important to have devotees nearby, because this is the final moment we are waiting for, right? Like when we pass, at least we should have devotees chanting the holy name and everything. So yeah, I mean, that was really, such a glorious death. And then one of my very close family friend, um, she is also like, she's like a motherly figure to me, and she's almost in her last days too. And when I came to know from my parents, like she's on a ventilator right now, and that just hit me, like we all, I mean, we have to make our sadhana so strong that we have to accept this very smoothly. I couldn't like for an hour or a half an hour I was in shock. I was like, oh my god, she's on ventilator, and couldn't accept that she's about to leave. And that just made me think, like, that um, we read everything, and we hear everything, but to execute this is a very very difficult and a different thing. So that can only be done by reading or chanting the holy name and making our sadhana strong. So yeah, just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, that's very inspiring. Yeah, we do what we do, right? So yeah, when we do our services nicely, our sadhana nicely, then Krishna arranges everything, right? And so, like you said, when we have to pass away, also, there's not, things is not in our control, right? We don't know when that time will come, but Krishna will orchestrate. Our Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, they will orchestrate that situation where we will be in a situation where we'll be able to remember the Lord, right? Like Prabhupada was praying here, Krishna Tvadiya Padapankaja Panjarantam, that at my end, when the body is useless, how will I be able to remember you? So that is the mercy of the Guru. That is the mercy of the Lord, that they will ensure that when we are at that last moment of our life, the final exam, the final exam, we come out with flying colors, because they will orchestrate that we will be in the association of devotees, we will be in the association of the holy name. Right? So that is the mercy that comes from the Lord and from the Guru. That is not possible for everybody, but only for those who have lived their life in preparation. So that should be our lifetime of preparation, so that the end, because the end is not in our control, just like the beginning of our life is not in our control, right? So like Gaur Gopal Prabhu very nicely says that analogy of the airplane, when the airplane takes off from the runway, the takeoff is not in our control, right? The pilot is responsible for that. And then finally, the landing of the aeroplane, that is also not in our control. The pilot is responsible for that. But what happens in the journey, that is fully in our control, right? So when we are in the flight, we can decide, you know, to do what we want to do. We can have a chanting bag, we can chant, we can read, we can engage in hearing some, katha, Krishna katha, right? Or we can talk, like even materialistic people. Some people will talk to others sitting next to them. Some people would walk. Some people would just sleep, right? Some people would just eat and make merry or watch movies, right? So that engagement in the flight, that is fully in our control. So that is really what we are talking about here in the lifetime, the birth, which family we are born in, where we are born, who will be our parents, what family, what color we will have, skin, body, what country, what place we are born in. Nothing we can choose, right? That's out of our control. And at the end, at the death, again, what day we will go, how we will go, who all will be around us, what time. Nothing is in our control, right? So same thing. So the birth and death is not in our control, but so that is between. So the life, he says, it's a journey between, it's the ABCD, a journey between B and D, between birth and death, and the C that stands in between is basically the choices that we make, right? So the choices that we make is fully in our control. That is the free will, the desire that Krishna has given us. So what we choose, if we choose Krishna, then Krishna will choose us. If we forget Krishna, then of course we know what will happen next. Hari Jai, Hare Krishna. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Anybody else would like to say anything?
Yes, that's very true, what you said. Because I've been hearing all this recently, and I'm like, wow. Like another incident which I, heard was like a 17-year-old who was studying in the same school as I was when I was back in India. He was just 17 or 18 years old, and his um, I think parents or sibling just went to Australia or out of country for something, and he was just playing cricket normally with his friends, and after that he just collapsed, and he passed away like in a second. Like they couldn't even reach to the hospital, and I'm like, wow, like you never know when the death is coming. I was like, maybe Krishna is just telling me to increase my sadhana. You never know, when death will strike you. And so incidents like that just makes you makes you think that you have to, it's so important to remember him like every second of your life.
Yeah, it's a practice. Yeah, if we do practice, that's why even in our material life, if we practice like consistently, regularly, then we become good at something. So same thing. We practice every day, we practice our sadhana nicely, then there will be moments where there will be time when, as again, all of these are nothing that I'm saying. Everything is what our acharyas have mentioned, right? What Srila Prabhupada says, like the final, the ultimate instruction is to always remember Krishna and to never forget Krishna. So that can happen only when we practice regularly, consistently. And when we do that, then yes, we'll be able to remember Krishna. Just when we are doing our rounds nicely, then even during the day, when we are talking, we are walking, and we are not, when uh, we will always be able to, at least we'll be able to sing, some kirtan, and that will automatically come to our mind. It will always, remain on our tongue. So like that. So if we just practice consistently, then yes, it will happen automatically that we'll have moments. more and more moments where we'll remember Krishna, ultimately reaching the state where we always remember Krishna. This is a very hard state to reach, but it is not impossible. The Prabhupada says impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. Impossible itself says I am possible. So it is possible. We just have to be sincere and consistent. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Shri Mataji. So I think you have joined after some days of gap in between. So good to see you again. Okay. Hare Krishna. All right, we'll see you all today for the Thanksgiving Kirtan from 4 to 6 for those who are in Cincinnati. And for those who are not in Cincinnati, may you always remember Krishna and may you never forget Krishna also. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंतकोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय जगद्गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय शिला प्रभुपाद लीलामृत की जय थर्सडे थैंक्सगिविंग कीर्तन की जय निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.